the God with whom all things are possible, the God that cannot conceptualize evil, the God that cannot become a victim of any circumstance, the God that cannot be preyed upon, the God whom nothing take unawares, the God that has no rival, the God that does not forsake any, especially those who trust or trusted in him patiently, the God whose help leaves no vacuum, the God whose revelations are eye-opening and not eye-dulling, the God whose word is powerful, intoxicating, detoxifying, and dependable, the God in whose spoken words are found Eucharist, edible Eucharist, holy Eucharist, celestial life-giving food indeed, and not the achicha or that terrestrial kind of bread baked with or without yeast, which can break or tear when bent, which house flies can perch on, and can even breed insects or ants. The God whose words are supposed to be likened to ambrosia nectar, and not food for thoughts, but food for the spirit being, pure hominid spirit being precisely. The God whose word moves mountains, whose reign of active revelations, powerful revelations, changes weather, weathers a storm, whose holy message, the God whose holy message is uninstall the perverse in any planet, chasing away or chases away darkness and matrix stones at the echo, resetting the ecosystem of any terrestrial world gradually for the celestial to take over. The God whose word progressively vanishes anarchy and chaos, frustrates the token of liars, making or proving their divinations baseless, that is without concrete foundation, lies and riotous to cosmic methodology, anarchical, cataclysmic, or chaotic to cosmic methodology, formatting trends, thereby initiating changes positively. The God whose doctrines does not include casting of lots, the God who does not gamble nor do things by trial and error, the God that uses celestial gold, so precious as that is, for flooring celestial planets outdoor, the God whose word is living and active, whose word has microscopic properties, spiritual and life-giving properties. Spiritual meaning possessing spiritually genetic contents or properties, and life-giving simply meaning zoe hatching, life imputing, life importing, life changing, life renewing, life immortalizing, life preserving, life polishing, powerful and surgically sharper or more piercing than any two-edged sword, or surgical blade or blades or needles in life-saving operations. The God who speaks things into existence torrentially, calling them definitely and setting their order, and not in any way practicing optimism, faith, or being merely optimistic in his confessions. The God that has no beginning, therefore has no birthday. The all-sufficient God, the self-sufficient God, the self-dependent God, who does not need or require any form of shelter or roof over his head. The God who in his fullness, in his whole size, no firmament, no sky, nor any form of roof goes over his head. The Most High, whom nothing goes higher or above his head. The God that needs no shelter. The all-sufficient God, the self-sufficient God, the self-dependent God, who does not require any form of shelter, nor does he need a solid ground to stand on. Those that sang, saying, lift him up higher, should better hear this. Those that wrote that the earth is his footstool should better hear this, and so on. The all-sufficient God, whose project no one sponsors. Indeed, the fullness of the Godhead dwells in the God the Father, and not in God the Son, nor in God the Most Holy Spirit. The God whose source of life and power is himself, his spirit being, and not his word. But his word, his spoken word, has life, because he's born of his spirit. The God that has his unmatched operation avatar, the extraordinary strategist and transition programmer. I fear thee. The God who is too high to reign over me. The God that has it all, and therefore does not crave for anything. The God who does not crave for worship. The God who in his fullness, in his whole size, no firmament, no sky, goes over his head. The Most High, whom nothing goes higher or above his head. Most loving Father, most caring Father, most model Father. The God of the harvest, who sends laborers into his vineyard when the harvest is ripe. The super and grand master builder of the church that conquered death. We worship thee. Our super lover, our highest carer. Thy love does not die at all. Nothing dies or can die in thee, the supremely immortal God. Those wolves and monsters that said that thy love for mankind, thy agape for us, that thy agape agape from us by the sin or transgression of Father Adam, those anarchists are damned. Those wolves that called us poor banished children of Eve, those children of anarchy are damned forever. Truly, thy save is total. Thy save is a total package, O God of our salvation. Thy save is ultimate and homecoming, the lifter up of my head, meaning the bailer and resurrector of my principal ancestors, the promoter of my status, the grandest architect and master strategist, the avatar of my impending dangers. What it is called when an angel turned human just lands. What he wears at that time, what it is called will be known today. And also, some of the works of the Messiah, the Prince. Thanks, most Holy Spirit, for teaching me and for leading us into this epochal truth about our costly procreation and the due appreciation of it with our seed offerings, and having to mark it annually, globally, as the carnival of carnivals, the God that do the impossible. I am ravishingly and mesmerizingly in awe and humble admiration of thee, my God. I love and cherish thee deeply with the whole of me, with the entirety of my being. May we hear from thee once again in the simple, simplest language that we can understand. You will continue to reign forever. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. In the matchless name of our Supreme Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Hello. You are welcome to Rabbi Class. This is coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria. This is not in any way a Jewish-oriented arrangement or initiative, as it may have sounded to you, but a live streaming mid-week church service with an interactive session that can graduate to a debate kind of symposium, which will accommodate even rival religious sects over time. This is meant to bring or provide answers to your unanswered questions and to provide ultimately the authenticity and to prove ultimately the authenticity of the Holy Scriptures. Prophecies of prophets penned down over the ages, proving that whole body of work to other religious sects of this world as true. Why Rabbi Class, you may ask? Because it might not be a nursery class to those of you who are still kids in Bible studies, because of its in-depth, far-reaching, and spiritual nature. It is bone-cracking, it is meat-busting, it is truly rabbinical. Well, I will counsel you not to miss the episodes, as they are epochal, versatile, and seriously eye-opening. And in today's edition or segment, in today's live broadcast or live streaming, I will discuss something with you today, or something with you that's supposed to help you again groom your growth as we continue to embark on this race to the heaven where we have our eternal citizenship. The prophet prayed this way just a moment ago. He said, what it is called, when an angel turned human just lands. What he wears at that time, what it is called will be known today. And also some of the works of the Messiah, the Prince. And also some of the works of the Messiah, the Prince. Now, if you look at these coinages here, you will see that this is something that you don't have to rush thinking they are just some vocabularies, some English lexicon. When you look at that, when an angel turned human just lands, what he wears at that time, what it is called, will be known today. Then the next, and also some of the works of the Messiah, the Prince. The coinage you find in the book of Daniel. That's in Daniel chapter 9. You see. So I want to take it slowly so that I'm sure that I am not missing any one that I needed to explain first, that you have to understand first, before the other. So let's take it let's take one after another. When an angel turned human just lands, what he wears at that time, what it is called. What exactly is the prophet saying here? In the first place, the church that I met did not even know. I discovered that the church that I met did not even know that there is actually this air route, A-I-R, then R-O-U-T-E. I discovered that the church did not even know that there's this air route that angels can follow. and come to this earth. And the name of the air route, I also saw that where that was mentioned in the Bible that we have here, they didn't write that well, as that was mentioned as a river. I had to begin to explain to the people. I said the 4 rivers mentioned in Genesis chapters, actually, that they also made to look like, in fact, the Garden of Eden, they wrote about the Garden of Eden and the incident that happened, the thing that took place in the very Garden of Eden, that everything was made to look like it was made terrestrial. It was made to look like the very Eden is in the earth here, as one of the places, like you have one name or the other referring to one place or other in the earth. So that the Garden of Eden then is a garden in that particular place called Eden, in the earth, inside the earth here. And also the names like Pison, Gihon, Hiddekel, and Euphrates were also mentioned as names of rivers. 4 rivers that, as they wrote, that this river came out from Eden and parted into 4, something like that. Like 2 rivers that parted into 2, something like that. So, and they wrote that like they were just pointing to 4 different rivers in the earth here. Now, when you look at it very well, you will understand that when you talk about, in fact, there's a reason Genesis has to bear the name Genesis. When you're talking about this planet Earth, as in to give a Genesis account of the creation of the things you can see here, then when you look at the way that was written, heaven was also mentioned. They wrote in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, that in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, something like that, the heaven and the earth. Now, prophet started from there. He said that it's supposed to be heavens. That is not a minor mistake. It looked like it is a minor mistake because of that earth not being there. But that is terrible. Why? Because the very heaven, when you say heaven, you are referring to one place. When you say heavens, you are referring to many places. You can see. So somebody who believes that there is heaven and earth, and another who has been taught that there are heavens, the difference is too much. So that this is that kind that is fundamental, that is foundational. You don't make that kind of a mistake in explaining things to the people inside the planet concerning what has to do with the very planet the God of creation hung on air and so on. Like scientifically today, we have also discovered, is a discovery already, that this earth is not the only planet hanging on air. That there are other planets. So the prophet had to throw light on some things, and also pointed to, for instance, Revelation chapter 12. That the very Revelation chapter, if you read it, like by the time you get to verse 12, you will see clearly that place also mentioned heavens. In fact, not only that he mentioned heavens, but also mentioned how that there are people inhabiting the very different heavens. So prophet said that there are heavens worlds. And he started making us know how that that there are different worlds. Like there's a word you can refer to as a ghost world. Ghost. Ghost world. And that a ghost world is completely different from a physical place. That a ghost is a spirit being that was programmed in the soul and then immersed into a physical body, submerged into a physical body, or baptized into a physical body. And then later, something occurred to that physical body that meant a killing of that very physical body, which is death. So death occurred to that physical body as a result of which, or what now that is in the very physical body, which is a system that can be likened to an eject kind of system. Like you press button that is eject, and then it will bring out the cassette in your cassette player, or CD that is in your CD player. So that eject system is with the system, with the mechanism of the CD player, is with the mechanism of the cassette player. So that the very eject system is with the physical body, not with the spirit being. Prophet said that the spirit being is the person. That is the you. But then that spirit being to be submerged or immersed into a physical body so that the spirit being will become physically present, physically manifested in a physical world. Then there is the services of the soul. The soul has what to do, because physical body can be supernatural, physical body can also be natural. Like physical body can be the kind that is physical but is mortal, like the one you have now. So that one you have now is mortal, is natural. When you look at the world we have here, as the natural to you, so it becomes then like you have natural sciences. We have the we have the biology, the physics, and the chemistry in terms of natural sciences here to understand a whole lot. So the physical body you have now is, you can refer to your nature. You can see the nature of that physical body. So the nature is mortal. It's a mortal nature kind of body. It dies. It has limited lifespan. Now, prophet said that there is the supernatural kind of physical body, where if you talk about in this kind of physical body, you talk about lifespan limit. That one has no lifespan limit. Then you talk about how that the physical body you have here now can be like torn with razor blade, can be pierced through with needle, can be the bones can dislocate, can fracture, can be punctured. The body can die and so on, can even host some parasites. And so now when it comes to the physical body that is supernatural, it's not so. And that when it comes to supernatural physical body, also that you are talking about perfect nature, perfect state, glorified state. So that if you talk about the God of creation, when he, for instance, if in terms of the physical body that he coupled, like the physical body of Lord Adam and that of the woman Eve, for instance. Now that very physical body was coupled to the point where the physical body was perfectly finished. So that physical body actually is not in a mortal state at that time, and so on. But that there's the origin. That's what that very persons I mentioned, who prophet also said that they are actually the principal ancestors of the very mankind race. So that there is a role they have, there is what they must do for that physical body to be brought to the state where the physical body becomes mortal, becomes dieable. And that also they must do, because if that physical body is not that dieable, is not brought to that state where the physical body becomes dieable, then the procreation of the mankind race will not be possible. They will be becoming many of the very people. So that, like that the woman who has the womb, the physical body of the woman that has the womb, has what is called menstruation cycle or menstrual cycle, something like that. You see, so there's that time that physical body will be releasing eggs. You see, so the physical body that God coupled, the physical body of the woman Eve, at the time God finished coupling that, was not going through that at that time. So what I'm trying to say is that the prophet saw that there are certain basic and fundamental or foundational explanations that he has to begin to, first of all, explain to the people. Okay, so that Eden is actually a heaven's world. That is the reason you heard names like cherubim, like two cherubim in that story, in that very Genesis account. That a cherub is a creature, yes, but that's a creature in a perfect state. Is a creature that has supernatural physical bodies, and at the same time is a creature that belongs to another race entirely. That you don't look for cherubim or seraphim in a planet like this. You don't look for angels as they are originally, in their original state. You don't look for them in the earth here that way. You see, so that this very planet Earth and other planets, all the planets you can see, all the planets that your devices can see, and so on, all of them are water-borne planets. That these are all terrestrial. These are planets that the system inside the very planet is that kind of system where things die, things can expire, things can rotten, can like rust. Okay, these things that, like for instance, heaven being explained as where you can go to and stay forever, for instance. Now there's an aspect that has to do also on how that people that are there, that system of gradual fading away, that system of aging and death, that is here, if he should be there, how will you explain it? Then if that place also is not a physical place, and someone is talking about or comments like what God has prepared for them that love him, I had not seen, neither has the ear heard, something like that. How can you explain that? Then when you talk about someone like you are, like as you are, you talk about a human being, and also that person staying in a place. You talk about life. You talk about also the amenities of the life. You talk about the amenities of the life. You cannot just stay in a place that is an empty airspace forever. You cannot just stay in a place that has not amenities. The amenities of life is because of the life. The amenities of life is made for the life, not the life for the amenities. There are the amenities of life. So, prophet was explaining these things because they are very, very important. There are things that until you understand that, even the story, anything that you are being told concerning heaven, there is a way it will be ironical to you, whether you think it is so or not. And things went so bad that people also think that someone who has died, like they put it here, that the person has, like, as the person dies, then the person, what they refer to as life after death. So the person then will meet with God. And that is how the judgment referred to in the Bible, like it is appointed unto man once to die, and after that the judgment. That's how the person encounters it. In other words, that the person meets with the God who is the judge of the living and the dead. And it has to do with the things that the person has done in the earth here. After that judgment, the person will be told to go to either hell or where then? So they also feel that then that hell is where people, generally, anybody who didn't please God will go to. While those that pleased God will go to heaven. Then Jesus of Nazareth, when he was still when he came, he touched these fundamental errors. I mean, these foundational errors that are terrible. He touched it to the extent that when he resurrected, amongst what he said to the people also was, touch me. I am not a ghost. A ghost has not flesh and bone. That's how they wrote that. But the better rendition is a ghost has not physical body, as you see me have. Why did they write flesh and what is that they wrote flesh and bone? Because they still think that when you talk about physical body, you talk flesh and bone. They didn't know that mortal body is the one that if you are talking about, you talk about flesh. Bone is fine, but that was flesh. Flesh is that skin is beefy and can be torn into pieces. It's flesh. When it comes to physical, supernatural body that is physical, you don't talk about flesh and bone. You talk about skin on bone. Skin, not just skin and bone. Skin on bone. Prophet has explained these things. And that in the supernatural, you are talking also about physical bodies in their perfect stature. You don't talk about like somebody being fat, another slim, another like short, average, tall, of belonging to the same race. That when it comes to like the angels, that all the angels, they have their anatomy. They have their perfect stature, perfect anatomy. All angels are of the same size, and figure. Then also when it comes to the cherubim and seraphim, the same. That the angels are different and they have their different heavens worlds. Then when it comes to also the cherubim and seraphim, that they also belong to a different heavens world. And that the cherubim are the masculine version, while the seraphim are the feminine version. They all belong to the same heavens world. The prophet said this. And that Eden is a 4 square heaven. That is like this earth is round or spherical in shape. So that Eden is a physical, is a planet that is perfectly finished. That is just what it means that a place is a heaven's world. It is the kind of planet where the God of creation perfected everything from A to Z, unlike it is in this kind of a planet. We are also amongst what human beings we do here is to replenish certain things. We have to, even the trees, you have to plant seeds that will also grow again into that tree and so on. Else, because life has its lifespan limit here. You see, so that the very Garden of Eden, where you also heard names of trees like the tree of life, You don't call that kind of name. You don't give any tree that kind of name in the earth here. So there was a lot that has to be explained to you, as even the tree of life, where they mentioned that, they still made it look like that tree is there to heal people of different diseases. Meanwhile, there are no diseases there are no diseases in heaven's words. You don't talk about diseases in heaven's words. You know, like the air here, like just like we have earth, air, or earth, water, and air. And there are also disease-causing organisms that they can hatch. You know, like there are matrices. Earth is a matrix. Means like you can plant something inside the earth and the thing will start growing. So also water is a matrix, like it has fishes in the water. Then also the air, like there are birds of the air. You see, so and these things also they are not only matrices, but because of the imperfect state of the very cosmos, so that the planet can hatch, can breed certain microscopic organisms, and so on. So now all of this is completely different from when you're talking about heaven's words. There is nothing like the air hatching a micro or a disease-causing organism in a heaven's world. Like, you know, for instance, the roofs of our houses, for instance, how that there has always been wears and tears and rusts. Now, in heaven, that is something that cannot happen in a heaven's world. So the God of creation, the reason I have always loved to add that word of creation is to make you highlight it, that the God that we're talking about here has creative skills and is the highest. So the God of creation is supposed to have that place where whatever he created and bring into tangible reality, he will establish it to show that he's the best. He cannot create and bring into tangible reality the things he has brought into tangible reality. And all of that is what you can see in the earth now, or outside the earth. Like, you know that nothing in this earth is in its perfect state. Even people are building mannequins that are looking in terms of like stature and complexion and so on. You see the thing looking better. You see that people are building what we human beings will use to look better here. Does that mean that they are better in terms of creativity, in terms of creative skills? They are better than the God of creation. You see, or human beings has made hairs that women or ladies can put on their own hair to look better. A lot of people do a lot of things. Even medical doctors, the surgeons, has a lot they even can do to one physical body or the other so that it will look better. Look at that. So there is that place where the God of creation, everything that he has brought into tangibility is in its perfect state. Like you talk about, for instance, a city. The city here, the way it is met here, you see that it was met like even roads are not tarred. We have to tar the roads. You see, the forest of trees and so on is here and there. In fact, it was like a planet of like a botanical garden. Everywhere was filled with trees and so on. We have to now plan it. We talk about where people will stay. You talk about the road that the people will follow in traveling. You talk about the way if you're planting now, the way the trees will be. Else, they will grow healthy skelter. They will grow like it is not with plan. You know, if you understand what I'm saying. You talk about houses too. You want to build a city. There's supposed to be the city plan in the earth here. How will the God of creation leave a planet that way? I mean, he did it after hanging a planet in the air. There was not a single house, even if it is to show the people that was like the first set of people that will be in the earth there. This is how, like, you should follow this pattern, and then to build other houses. That was not one house that the God has to be. Why? That was a reason. Because God is a perfectionist. He's a perfectionist. He will not use terrestrial object to start building a house, any house. You see, but there is that place, that planet that if you should come to, or planets that if you should come to, you will now see, if you talk about the garden of the very planet, then you are talking about the one that God, the God of creation himself planted. Everything was as it should be. Everything arranged as it should be. God is the greatest and the highest organizer. The trees are arranged as they should be. Then also, if you should go to the city, that means the garden of a heaven's world is completely different from the city. And also, prophet said that the trees are celestial trees. They are completely different from the ones we find here. Like for a tree to grow here, the seed has to die first. If it is the kind that has seeds that you plant the seed for it to start growing. There is that system of, that death that must be there for that to happen. Now, that's different from that world where death is not. Where the inhabitants of that particular place cannot die. So how then will the trees grow? Look at that. So the prophet spoke about how that there are two different kinds of agriculture. There is the terrestrial kind of agriculture. That is the one that there must be a system of death for that thing to grow into a tree and so on. That is different from the kind that you find, the trees that you find in heaven's worlds. And also like we eat here to get energy, to get this and to get that. That's completely different from also the physical bodies of that people that will stay in heaven's worlds eating from the fruits. They are not eating from the fruits so that they will get, like we have foods here that if it is carbohydrate, then it gives us energy. If it is protein, it gives you amino acid. That's like very good for growth of the body and so on. And so many others. That is completely different from how it is now in heaven's worlds. That the trees actually, prophet told us that these trees are better called this way. Glory remnant trees. That there's such thing as glory remnant. Like we have our clothes here, which we have to make ourselves. So over time, the fabric making industries become, you see. So, textile industries, people that has to look into how things that you use to make fabrics and how to make the very fabric. All of that, there were reasons God has to leave the earth that way. Also, so that human beings will show, like that, that mankind is like God. The God that mankind is like is also the God of creation. So there are things that that has to be proven, has to become proven, not proven to man, but proven to the angels, proven to the cherubim and seraphim also, because the procreation of man, the very procreation of the mankind race, is the way that went was completely different from how it was for angels, for the cherubim and seraphim as well. They reached their own complete. Prophet said that there are systems of generation. That there is the system of generation. There's the system of regeneration. There's the system of degeneration. And there is also the system of complete generation. So that the angels and also the cherubim, they are all in the system of complete generation. So they don't need procreation to become many. They were mass produced. Their physical bodies were mass produced. And then God filled those physical bodies with spirits, the spirit beings that he quickened. There are quickened spirit beings that's completely different from the spirit beings that we are giving birth to, that were battered. You see, so the quickened spirit beings are also like created spirit beings. So these are creatures. God has to create the shape of their physical body. He has to create it in his creative faculty first. He has to conceptualize how they will look. That is completely different from in the case of mankind. That the very mankind was giving birth to the theory of the son that God gave birth to. And the details of it, how it happened, was such a controversial stuff at the time. Because the person that opened that chapter of the logos of the God of creation happened to be the same principal ancestor of the mankind race. But that many people are yet to understand this. There is a situation at hand. There's actually a situation at hand that many didn't know. Like many people were led astray. Like it was something that a certain people planned. Like you've been led out of somebody's pasture. So you will be speaking against your own principal ancestor with your own mouth. Nobody seemed to be that person who will care about the race and anything that is reproaching the race I mean, mankind race as a race. You have to belong to a height to see things from that angle. As even in the earth here, people think that another race, like people refer to the white race as another race. That is to show that they don't even understand that everybody in the human physical body doesn't. I mean, when you talk about another race, you should refer to like angels. You should refer to like cherubim and seraphim. They are completely belonging to a different kind of stature of a physical body, a different kind of genetics of a physical body, and so on. You see? And so my point is just like what was told you concerning the very Adam, his eminence, of Genesis chapters, and the very Eve of Genesis chapters. That was such a heresy, such a global deception that I is amongst what I have to explain until I got to the point where people could understand that these things are true that I'm explaining. You see, so like I was saying, I said that I met a church that I saw that even the air roots that were, even though they were not written well, you know. In fact, I even showed them at a point where that where that was mentioned in the Bible again, but that was called a ladder. That they wrote that Jacob trying to sleep or catch this kind of, you know, like sleep that some people like try to take a little sleep, to take just a sleep that may not take a lot of time. And then he said he woke up and remembered what was like a dream that he had. And he said that this was a revelation from God, and that then what he saw was they wrote that as a ladder that ran from the earth, from that place where he was lying down trying to catch some nap, to heaven. That was where they wrote that. And you know, when you say ladder, you know what that means. Ladder here, Ladder, is simply meaning that thing that is built, that has steps like this, steps that somebody can use to climb to a place, a point, you know. So they wrote that he said that he saw that ladder that ran from here to heaven, and angels descending from the heaven into the earth through the ladder, and also ascending from the earth here into heaven through the ladder. Now, prophet said that was misinterpreted. That was not understood. That was not a ladder, but that is an air route. R-O-U-T-E. Route. Air route. That there are air routes. And that particular air route is the very Euphrates of Genesis chapters. So that Pison, Gihon, Hiddekel, and Euphrates, that Pison is the air route that if you should follow, it lands it will get you to the heavens world of the cherubim and seraphim. While Gihon, G-I-H-O-N, Gihon, is the very one that will land you into the heavens world of the angels. While Hiddekel is the one that will land you into the heavens world of the mankind, the main heavens world of mankind. That's Eden, the very Eden of Genesis chapters. While Euphrates is the one that is such an air route. In a certain place in the Bible, it was called the Great Euphrates. I also explained that. And it is because that's the air route that accommodated, as in like a celestial, somebody like an angel, for instance, who is in his physical body that is originally the way it should be. I mean, angels, prophet said that angels, they have two wings, and they are not in any way in the shape of man or mankind. If they are not like standing with 2 legs, 5, it's not so. Angels are like birds. Maybe I put it that way. Okay, even though there are different kinds of birds here. But my point is that one, they have feathered skin. Prophet said that the cherubim and seraphim, that they have embroidered skin. This thing they call tattoo here. And that which in the Bible you see was like somebody who putting on a Babylonian attire also. I think Babylonian is better. Attire. Prophet said that Babylon is one of the street names, one of the names of streets in the heavens world of the cherubim and seraphim. So that their own planet is in a pyramid shape. And that Eden is in a four square, like a cube. While that of the angels is in a rectangle shape. Yes, I know this is not what you find in the Bible. But a prophet is that person that the most Holy Spirit reveals things to. The most Holy Spirit is the Spirit of the God Almighty. Like who they refer to in this place, in this planet, as the Holy Spirit. Prophet also had to explain that. That EST, the best of everything in terms of superlative. Who do you think that should go for? That even in the Bible, you still have words like this, most holy place. Most holy place. So the very place built with terrestrial material, they have a place they refer to as the most holy. Then the God of creation, who is the highest, the most high, you see, most high. I'm here telling them that the spirit of that God is the most Holy Spirit. And that your own spirit as a pure hominid, this is another thing that prophet also spoke about. That there are pure hominids and there are impure hominids. Like there is the wheat and there are weeds. Weeds. W-E-E-D-S. Or weed, W-E-E-D. Then there are wheats. W-H-E-A-T-S. Wheats. Just like there are, there's the unclean spirit, you see. And then there is the clean. So there are spirit beings that are being catapulted, that are being shot out from the abyss. A-B-Y-S-S. And the abyss referred to here is where you find it in the Bible is Revelation chapter 9. So that is one thing too that every child of the kingdom is supposed to understand. That there is that place that is the matrix of darkness. Where evil, every evil, that was where that was hatched and funneled into the earth from. Talk about demons. That the God of creation is not in any way the inventor, the bringer into tangible reality, or bringer into reality, into existence, any demon. The God is like that light in whom is no darkness at all. The God is like that immaculate light in whom is no darkness at all. This means that no evil can come from him. What was written in a certain place in Isaiah, where they wrote that God said, or they wrote that Isaiah said that God said, that God is the one that bring the lights. He brings the light. He also formed the darkness. He creates good. He also creates evil. I'm here telling that it is a notorious lie. It is 100%. There's no atom of truth in that. The God Almighty has not even anything toxic in him. No toxicity, no acidity from God. The God is perfect. And look at words like every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, or is from the God. Look at that. Look at words like that, for instance. So this disagreements in the Bible, these things that has to do with where the Bible says something and in another place says another, that is completely the opposite of what he said before, is one of the things that the prophet also is addressing. There are such things as things that were written that were not written well due to apostasy. Many were written, but we are not read. That is, they were misinterpreted. Some we are misinterpreted and so on. I mean, like in terms of translation too. Transliterations. There are a whole lot as they are trying to change the written book, the written stuffs from that very language they found it to one other language or the other. And then the people also doing that. This is aside the aspect that has to do with also which prophet said what. The level of spirituality in terms of also understanding, spiritual knowledge and understanding of the very prophet that was trying to say what God said or what was revealed to him. That one is also another. Because all prophets are not equal. Prophet is explaining these things. And anybody who truly is seeking to know, who has perceived that there are discrepancies. Serious discrepancies in some things written. First of all, and start looking for the truth and prayerfully going about it. These are the kind of people that treasure, if they should for any reason have an encounter, like come across this messenger, this preacher this person does explain these things. If there's no reason, no need for such, you wouldn't see words like this from the very Jesus of Nazareth himself. Seek, ye shall find. Look at that word. Seek ye first. Seek ye first the kingdom and its righteousness. Even though the coinage of this did not still help people, because when you tell someone, seek for the kingdom of God and his righteousness, did not mean the person will know exactly what to do. Like, okay, so how do I seek for the kingdom of God? For further, that of God, capital G is there. A kingdom is a government headed by a king. How will I seek for that government headed by the king? You see? So, but that was what he was talking about. That in English they wrote that way. That is what to pursue first. And every other thing will begin to fall into place. There is the kingdom, there is the power, and there is the glory. The same way, there's the seek, there's the ask, and then there is the knock. You can see. Even though they didn't set it well, they put it as ask, then seek, and then knock. But when it says seek ye first, that automatically means that you take that seek that they put in the middle and bring it to the first. So the seek should go first before the ask. But they placed ask first. Because the ask looks like it's like saying pray. Pray for the kingdom to come. Pray for then when they have their needs, personal needs, you see. So they go for first in terms of asking. Oh God, like pray until something happens. Praying becomes what people are claiming today is what was given to them as their ministry. They lead people in praying. They write books that has to do prayer points. And these people fail to ask themselves, is it that God, one of the attributes, one of the things you give to him is the all-knowing, who has said things that has to do with what will make you understand that he knows what will happen before it happens. And there is the logos of the very God of creation. He said, those whom he foreknew, he predestines. He told somebody, he said, hey, before you were conceived in your mother's womb, I knew you. That's the God they will approach like he is forgetful. You see what's like, remember me, oh God. You see what's like you are reminding God of something. I don't have to talk about the aspect that has to do like disturb him until he does that thing. And also phrases that support that, like fuel those things, like I will not leave you or I will not let you go unless you bless me. They said that Jesus gave a certain parable of that woman or that widow that needed help, and a certain man that has no fear of God or man. But that this widow was like disturbing him to help her, please. And that the man, to cut the long story short, has a reason to say at the time, no, I think I should listen to this woman and do what the woman is saying I should do. So that this woman at least will let me drink water and keep the cup. Because if I don't, she will continue disturbing me. And that Jesus said that in teaching the people how that they should disturb God. That God then can, because you are disturbing him, like agree to do that thing that you are asking him to do. And amongst it is for God to bless you. Chai. You see, that's amongst the thing. It's for the very God to bless you. You have to disturb him to bless you. A whole lot went like the church missed it. Missed. You know when like you when you talk about a train, train, missing its track is what I'm talking about. There is the path that leads to life expressly. They don't know what that is. Even the born again message was misinterpreted. It was that bad. The very born again, that's what was supposed to be referred to as the gospel. The good news was also misinterpreted. Salvation on its own, the word salvation, they didn't know what that is. It was so tough. So today, I want to delve into some of the things that will help you. Again, what a discussion that even took place between an archangel that intervened on a situation. When when Israelites, many people, including Daniel, the great Daniel, was amongst the people that were carried to the province, the side that you can refer to as the side that the Babylonian dynasty was established. A whole lot that matter so much is in that very particular book, in that very book of Daniel. And the evidence that is a place you're supposed to not just read, but try to understand what was written there. Jesus of Nazareth himself said, whosoever that read about the abomination that caused desolation, written in the book of Daniel, he said, let him understand. That was the way they wrote that. What they were trying to say is that Jesus said that you should try so much to see that you understand that which was written in the book. Because there were a lot that was written in the book of Daniel. Even though many of it, they were written in esoteric language. But then, that effort of wanting to understand it and prayerfully going about it will also make you, for instance, if you were then guided by this God and to meet with somebody who is explaining these things, you will treasure it. You have the patience to listen. So I want us to look into some of the places, some verses in Daniel chapter 9. You see, but before I go on, I want to just tell you what prophet, when he prayed, he said, the very attire, the very thing that when an angel comes to this earth, when an angel comes, that's the kind of people that I refer to as angel turned human. Prophet said that angels can come here for one reason or the other. He has explained these things to us. And that the air route to follow, to come, is that Euphrates. And that Euphrates was referred to as great because the angel coming is not like, like if you want to go to another country, maybe you enter an aeroplane. All the aeroplane we do, and the ones driving the aeroplane, is to, like to pilot the plane, like to drive the aeroplane until the aeroplane lands again, and then you come out. Now that's not how that very air route functions. Now that air route is that the air route takes the very people that are coming into this earth. The prophet said that ladder going from here to heaven, and then people also coming from heaven here. That it means a two-way lane. L-A-N-E. Lane. Two-way lane. So there is if you interpret it from the earth here, so you call a certain one exit. Exit. That means to go out from the earth. You follow that one. Then also you call another entrance. Entrance into the earth. So if you are entering into the earth, you follow that one. If you understand what I'm saying. So, prophet said that very air route is something else because, for instance, it's only angels that can come into this planet, this earth, not the cherubim or the seraphim. Okay? Now, the angels that are coming here, they board the earth. They like enters, like you dive into water. You see why Genesis chapters made it look like it's water. But the water I mean here now, from the height, I will explain it. It's not liquid. It's not river of liquid waters. River of liquid waters is what you find in a terrestrial place. River of liquid waters. It is not that in the supernatural. You cannot find any river of liquid water. Like when we talk about, like Like we talk about that three geographical places to make a world in this kind of in a physical realm. You can talk about the earth, the ground you stand on. You talk about liquid water. Then you talk about air. You see, you talk about earth, water, air. You see, the scientists also told you about like earth-borne diseases. That's how they call it. I prefer to say earth-borne disease-causing organisms. Then there's waterborne diseases or waterborne disease-causing organisms. You see, and then even though there are waterborne diseases, like if you drink dirty water, on just that is dirty is enough to make you like fall sick. Yes, but the aspect of that waterborne disease-causing organisms, I prefer it. Why? Because it should help you to understand what it means. A matrix. So that's an ability he has. Not just that the water is dirty and then you make it okay. So there are microscopic organisms that can be gradually hatched by a matrix that is terrestrial. Then also airborne. That also air. I mean the air also has also airborne discussion organisms, right? Now in a supernatural. Oh, please, I think I have to like manage time. Now I know the kind of thing that when I go into, I can really go so versatile that when I finish, I would rather be getting messages like, sir, I will go back to the message like it's deep. You know, like I could see that the people, because I taught so many things, maybe those basic ones, they didn't even get it because I was like touching so many. So please, that's what I'm just trying to. I'm trying to be more strategic, you know. So please, what I'm saying here is this, that the air route, Euphrates, the air route, Euphrates, happen to be that air route that any angel that is to enter, that is coming into this earth, for one special reason or the other, has to follow. Then the air route has a work to do. That work is that the air, as the angel is coming, angels are of another race entirely. They don't even stand erect. Erect, I mean, that's like the only mankind that stands erect, like that stand upright. I think is better. That stands upright. The cherubim and seraphim, their two legs are like that of a kangaroo, like a dinosaur. I'm not so satisfied when I mention terrestrial animals, you know, because it is not the best. Because I'm talking, when you say creatures, it means what God conceptualized in his creative faculty. Like the cherubim are so beautiful. So I don't want you to think, you know, maybe you Google kangaroo and then start looking at the leg. Or you Google dinosaur and just think that's exactly how they look. I'm just trying to make you see how that the leg, like, you know, when your leg is straight, like straight, is fine, you are fine. But when you bend it a little, like this, you will see that after 30 minutes or so, you are feeling the same because you feel, no, it's not stretched. So I want you to understand that there are creatures that when that leg is that way, like it's that way, that's when it is to them like when your own is straight, like this. You see? That way your own is when you stand upright. Them standing, you see, I almost lose upright now. Them standing the way they should is that way. That means that the leg cannot be like this. It is, you see, it is like this. That is that of the cherubim and seraphim. And also they have tails. So they are tail bearers. Tail. Tail bearers. But then, it does not mean you know, like when you look at animals here that has tails, how the tails are. You make a lot of mistakes. The tails I'm talking about are so beautiful. And it's not slim. It's not slim tail, like monkey's tail. You know, no, not at all. Not at all. You see? And there's no creature that has horns. Horns. There's no creature that is ugly. God cannot conceptualize anything ugly. Nothing ugly can come from God. I mean, as a you know, when you talk about creativity, if you understand first of all that the creator, anybody that can create something and try to bring that into tangible reality, or even on like virtual reality, even if it's a virtual reality, that person's that is the person's creative ability. There is something that the person will always try to avoid. That thing is what is not good for that person's creativity, which is ugliness. Anything that is ugly is not good for any creative mind. If you understand what I'm saying. God's height of creativity, God, the God of creation, his height of creativity is unmatched. It's something else. You come to a heaven's world, you see for yourself. You see the thing. You look at the garden of a heaven's world, you scream. You are not just talking about, look at how trees are here. It is completely different in a heaven's world. There is no one tree that can shade her leaves. There's nothing like leaves being shaded. There's nothing like discoloration. I mean like leaves, when leaves are not, like when a flower or a tree is not doing well, you see the green leaf going brownish. There's nothing like that. Rain does not fall in heaven. There is nothing like rainfall, like rainy season in heaven's world. That's why I'm telling you that the rain of liquid water, rivers of liquid water and what water does here, that is something actually that you should understand. You see, when rain falls, it also litters the ground. When rain falls, it pours, as in liquid water is a sign of the fact that that particular place is not yet in its perfect state. Like the creation of the creator has not finished his creation in that place, something like that. That's why liquid water you saw that is liquid at a time, can just go into vapor. You see, it can go into water like you go into vapor. That is to show you that the water itself is not what to be used to build something that's supposed to be everlasting. Because that water can go can go as vapor. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that there's the terrestrial water. Then there's the celestial kind. So the celestial kind, in trying to point to that same or acknowledge that same three different, like there's biology, physics, and chemistry. So there's that space for that apart from the air, like solid matter and the intangible. There is that same middle. But then in the supernatural, it is not liquid. That's why you see Jesus spoke about like, hey, that like when he was standing and there's this woman, they call the woman of Samaria, the Samaritan, that has what to use to fetch water. And Jesus then asked water from her. And then she was like, looking at you, a Jew. So you're not even supposed to talk with me. And it means also, even if I should fetch this water to give you, will not collect, and so on. And to cut the long story short, Jesus started talking about something else. That the woman could read meaning into and scream, as he said. In fact, he spoke first, like if you know who that person is that is standing talking with you, you will rather demand from him or ask him to give you to give you living waters, something like that. he will demand for liquid living waters from him. Now the word there is living. Some will use words like living, Living, living water. But then what the thing, what the Bible was trying to explain to you is living, Livened, living water. He was just trying to, it means celestial water. So it's not liquid. Just like a place in the Bible has words like, out of your belly shall flow rivers of, living waters. But then some will write it as rivers of living waters. Out of your belly shall flow rivers of living waters. Yet somebody that they feel is that's the fountain of that. They still wrote that, they said that Isaiah said that the person, amongst what you can refer to, the person, in terms of talking about the character of the person in the earth here, that what fits that character, one of it is called a man of sorrows. A man acquainted with grief. A man of sorrows. Yet you, out of your belly shall flow rivers of living waters. So anybody that out of his bowels, from him, shall flow rivers of living. What then is that living waters? How can that person be a man of sorrows? You see what I mean? How can there are words like the joy of my salvation in the Bible? Do not take, oh God, do not take away from me the joy of my salvation. Something like that. What is the joy of my salvation? I will tell you, it's very simple. It is the joy of the fact that I have discovered that I will not taste death. There is just knowing that you will not taste death. While wearing mortal body is also a source of joy. It's supposed to be that is what should give you a joy. Joy, see, joy is different from happiness. Many are yet to understand this. You cannot say, oh, because you have reasons to be so joyful. Then, for instance, you are in the midst of people who make you sad. Then when they make you sad, you are laughing. You are laughing. You know why? Because if you frown, then you are sad. You are sadistic. You see, joy is in the inside. Joy is in the inside. It simply means that there is nothing that happens around that person in a planet like this that makes him maybe unhappy, that will steal that joy that is inside. Amongst it is the joy of his salvation. The joy of the fact that he knows he will never taste death. Based on not faith. This is not based on faith. Based on what the God who sees what will happen before it happens said concerning the person. And then also the assurances of also that revolving around to what he's doing, who he is, what he's doing, what is speaking of him. Like a tree cannot lie in a certain height where let's say the seed has been sown, and then the seed starts growing into a tree, and then the tree gets to the point where the fruits of the tree starts coming. That cannot lie. That's the reason for that you shall know a tree by its fruits. The mortal body has a whole lot of pretensive nature. Like even a child from a certain age, just to try to do something that that the child feels the senior will reprimand him or her concerning. The child will begin to figure out how to lie. You see, how to lie before even doing that thing. If the child is caught, this is what the child should say. So it is as though it is with the very body that is mortal. What I'm trying to say is that there is a reason Jesus Christ said, you shall know a tree by its fruits. Like he gave it to you, being so sure that you cannot be deceived in that angle. That's in judging from that height. The issue is, what then is the fruits? What we refer to as the fruits when you are judging anybody. So the people also did not understand that. They look at character. They look at behaviors. They look at traits. What has to do with the mortal, that is the mortal body genetics. Because they have always thought that for you to be marked good by God, it has to do with righteousness that has to also do with you doing only things that are good while wearing mortal body. Like they think you can pleasing God has to do with you practicing righteousness like you are practicing. Oh my goodness. You know the word practicing, if you understand that thing. And the difference between you having the nature inside you. That is, you are being yourself. And you are doing that thing. You have the inclination of righteousness inside you. It's different from having inclinations that are immoral. But then you have to discipline yourself. You see, that was what Jesus was trying to say when he said, hey, if God should judge based on that, even you looking at that person, just looking at the person alone, a certain way, you had already done that thing. He was trying to tell you that there are inclinations. Like the goat that eats the yam has the inclination, has the appetite, first of all. That was what made the goat want to eat the yam in the first place. So what is the justice of that kind of nature when the very person that is referred to as the one that brought that goat into tangible reality, as an example, will now judge the goat based on, hey, goat, do not eat that yam. What meanwhile the goat has the appetite for the yam. And the goat was not the one that put that appetite into himself. Are you getting what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say here is this, that when it comes to this God Almighty, we really, really misunderstood him seriously. God was misunderstood in the earth here. I am telling you the truth. The God Almighty was misunderstood grossly in the earth. The science of supernatural realities is not cheap. Out of this world's teachings is supposed to be up there, up there. In terms of our rating, in terms of our, rating sciences, rating what has to do with knowledge. Knowledge, as in science-based realities, not fiction. What is real? What is true? What is reality? What is not at the mercy of belief? Belief. It has nothing to do with belief. Like, believe it or not, it does not change the thing. Just like there is the force of gravity. Just like there is gravity here. You jump up, you land. According to your weight. The way a nylon that you release will land. It's not the same way that if you should jump from that same height, you will land. You see, according to weight, you land. The way what is so heavy than you, or heavier than you, will land. Will be different from the way you will land. Why? There is gravity. Believe it or not, it is so. Be you a Christian, name them, it does not change anything. It doesn't change it. There are what? There are laws. There are laws. You see? So that is what I'm talking about. The God of creation was grossly misunderstood in the earth here. There is a lot that you need to know, my dear. You need to understand. Like 100% true. 100% true, without anything being sugar-coated. Even the name prophet, Prophet, you need to know. You need to understand who a prophet is. A prophet is not just somebody sent by another. Like they say, like sent one. That one is an English aspect of explaining how that sent one can also, like somebody can be, somebody else is sent one. Even a dog that was sent to go and get something, and the dog understood that thing, and go to get that thing, can be a sent one to the person that is the sender of the dog. The person can say, well, this is, I'm sending the dog to go and keep that thing. So, like, he's a sent one in this matter. Don't do this or that to that dog. He's only a sent one. I'm the sender. You see? Now, that's different from who a prophet is. Even though the aspect of that sent one, from a height of explanation, is also included. Because there is the sender of that prophet. But then, there is who a prophet is. There is that ability that made the prophet a prophet. You see? Now, what I mean, that does not mean that ability that made a prophet, that make a prophet a sent one. No. The prophet becomes a sent one when God sent the prophet. Well, when God did not send the prophet, the God did not send the person on a particular thing in the earth here, on a mission in the earth. But the person has that ability, he's still a prophet. So there is that ability that you understand. Just like a radio with an antenna has what that antenna does. Just like your dish outside and the decoder inside. And the installation, all of those cables that has to be run through whatever. And then that dish, that satellite dish, has that signal receiver. That signal receiver is just like that same antenna on that radio. That very radio, that antenna technology. So that signal receiver on that dish, satellite dish, cannot do anything until the signal sender that's also somewhere, that dish and that signal receiver has to focus towards. Until that is functioning, the signal receiver can look like it's not doing anything. That is how you will understand. Like I said, there is the mode of operation of the God. That is the very mode of operation. That until that mode of operation is functioning, the prophet has nothing to do. That is revealing that ability in him that made him that prophet. And that mode of operation is like I'm talking now, you are hearing me. Because I'm talking audibly. Now that mode of operation of the God, that's among his three different modes of operation. The very God of creation. Is the one that the God is saying something, but is not saying that audibly. It is just like that same, like you watch a television that is showing you one channel or the other. Then the technology of where the action is taking place, that you don't have to now listen to that based on the space, the distance that your ear can that that is the volume of words, the volume of whatever they are saying, being at the mercy of the distance your ear can hear. It has nothing to do with that. You see, it was no longer that way. But it has to do with what? It has to do with frequency. Frequency modulations, frequency alternations, name them. Radio technology. You see, radio technology. How that is what is done is we travel through one thing or the other. And what has the ability to get all of that and transmit it. Radio transmission, audio / video kind of this. So you watch the video on the television screen. Then the audio is a different one. That's why audio can fail while you are watching video and you see video on TV. So the audio is one, the video is another. That's why a prophet seeing is one, hearing is another. So amongst what was referred to also, or that they call prophet, is what? Seer. You see, seer has to do with seeing. Hearing has to do with, then hearing has to do with the ear. You see. So there is that God who is the revealer of secrets. There is that God who is the revealer of one thing or the other. That until he does that, the prophet has not he's not doing that. He's not being a prophet independent of the God, the revealer of those things. God has to reveal and he will see, or God has to transmit, like it happens in radio technology. Revelations that can come, and he receives it, like your device. Somebody writes a text message and send it, then your device will receive it, because the device has that what it takes to receive that. Then another is that you open the envelope, and then read what your device has received. That's also how a prophet will receive that revelation. Then another is to interpret what he has received. Then when the prophet is wearing mortal body, the interpretation of that which has received, the ability is in the spirit of the prophet, not in the brain. So by the time he has received that thing, then to interpret the wearing mortal body, that's what gives many prophets tough times. Why? Because the mortal body has the brain system of that mortal body. If you're understanding this, it means that the prophet will do better if he had one supernatural body to interpret that. Because the mortal brain sees life the way life is in this earth. But that which is coming to the prophet might be of a higher height. Some people use words like higher consciousness. I don't want to go there, because I like to use words that I feel you can easily understand. So how life is in a heaven's world, if that thing that comes is based on how life is in a heaven's world, it gives the prophet that is wearing mortal body tough times to explain that he has to be very careful. Else, if his spirituality does not subdue, like dominate that body to a height, then that's what causes those things I'm talking about. A whole lot that were misinterpreted. A lot of it happened when God was revealing one thing or other to Moses. A lot was misinterpreted. A whole lot was misinterpreted. So, like I was saying, I said, before I go to the topic today, I have to explain to you what I mean when I prayed, when I said, what it is called. That very cloth, that an angel that just landed, an angel that just came to a planet, Earth, the planet Earth. The angel is not dropped, was not rendered looking the way angels look originally. Euphrates will the cell system of the physical body of that angel has to be separated, pieces. So when you understand the word interlock, like the interlocking of cells, then you understand this one as the opposite. So the cells that are interlocked will all be separated. They will all separate. And the cells I'm talking about here now is angel zoe. There is mankind zoe, there's angel zoe. Like I said, that angels have, they have what? They have feathered skin. If they have feathered skin, that is then to help you see. That is to show you that angels are completely looking different in comparison to the mankind, to people of the mankind race. But your Bible said that man ate angels' food and called manna. The first 3 alphabets spelled man, M-A-N. They called manna angels' food because they didn't, because of this height of ignorance I'm talking about. They didn't know where the manna came from. They didn't know what exactly that is. So even in trying to call something celestial, they were trying to say, oh, they ate celestial food. They said that the man ate angels' food. Is manna angels' food? No. Like if you should meet with an angel turned human and talk about that, man ate angels' food. The angel will like look at you. Surprisingly. Like he's a lie. That kind that is 100%. You know that, I mean, like the thing is not reality. That's what I mean. Like when we call black, white. You see. Now what I'm trying to say here is this. That when an angel just came, or just comes, prophet said that, oh God of mercy, that angels follow Euphrates and they come here. And then when they have reached, in fact, there are pure hominid angels and there are impure hominid angels. The ones that at times people refer to as fallen angels. Prophet said that every angel that was seemingly good angel that later became a rebel was not that the angel was good angel that disappointed God. That nothing take God unawares. That angel rather was an impure hominid angel. That angel was an angel whose physical body, yes, God, who was the one who built the templates for these creatures' physical bodies, must have been the one that built the templates and must produce that, right? But then when it comes to filling those physical bodies with the spirit beings, he quickened. And determined also the soul system of that physical, those spirit beings, like that, okay, and so on. That it was not all the physical bodies that were mass produced, that the spirit beings that he quickened and like baptized into or immersed into the very physical body. The very physical bodies. It was not all the physical bodies that he has to feel that way. He already knew. He knew about the abyss. Prophet even explained to us how the abyss became. There was no abyss before. Like there's nothing that you point to and say that thing has no beginning except the God Almighty. That means the abyss has a beginning. So what is the beginning of the abyss? What supplied the substances of the abyss? Prophet said that the God at a time has to do what? Apart from creating space, which the prophet still explained. That even space, S-P-A-C-E, space, space is created by God. Even space is not what has no beginning. Imagine that. So that God is the one who creates space and can also create space much more. Can also create space much, much more. So God is the one who creates space. When he creates space, he fills the space with air. That's why it's called air space. And that air itself comes from the God. And that there's what is called Noma Hagaion, which is simply pointing to what? Holy air. So in this planet here, air is defined as a mixture of gases. Mixture of what? Gases. Then when you go by that, you make mistake because this is terrestrial. So there are gases here that are not I mean, that you cannot talk about when you talk about the Pneuma Hagar, the holy air that is celestial, air that is perfect. You see, nothing, 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 nothing toxic comes from God. Nothing acidic comes from God. This helps you to understand. If you talk about, for instance, the lake of fire, the substances that formed it, they are not from God. So God created space to a certain point when he wanted the abyss to come. I mean, to become, please. Not that he wanted it like he desired it, no, please. In defining, in proving once and for all that it is him, the God Almighty, that is the only person that is the person that has no beginning. And it is not what you should just say. He has to prove it. Because it is, if you understand the height, I mean, if you should stand to say, no, nothing else should be referred to as having no beginning except me. So God has to prove it. And that was how, when he created the side of the side where the abyss is, space towards that side, then the next thing he did was to quarantine the glory, the cast, the effulgence of glory from him. Everything that is in God and also follows the complexion casting, the complexion of God that goes out like light, that follows that to reflect on one thing or the other. So because God is not like he has that system whereby something like light can show. And for instance, if you have a neighbor that is your enemy, that is an enemy, that's your enemy, and then the light that is in your house can now be casting and making him see in his own compound. And then you may not like it. But you can say, oh, well, like, what will you do now? Because, the light must be cast. Now, that's not how it is for God. God can quarantine the effulgence of his light, the effulgence of his glory, the effulgence of, when you hear light, you think it's just brilliance. Everything awesome. People are here to know, do you know God, if God should look at you as an example, like, I mean, he's all seeing, yes, but I'm just trying to make you understand something here. If God's attention, that's like God has two eyes, even though he's all seeing, he still has two eyes on one head, one uppermost part of his body. Now, if that head, as an example, is this way, and then he now turned the head to look at you, or turned the head to look at you, or turn the head to look at you, just looking at you means a lot of blessing. Like the thing will attract a lot of good towards your direction. Can you believe that? That somebody can be that way. Somebody, I'm not joking, can be that way. Just casting his gaze on you, attract a lot of awesomeness to you. Why? There are things like, that's what's called magnetic field. Now, if you understand the science of it, like people use words like gravitate to, that thing called gravity, this boiled down to this. The whole thing boiled down to this. And this gravitated to this. If you understand that science, you will understand what I mean. When I say God looking on you steadfastly, what the effect of it on you. God is like, who is so blessed, who is such a blesser, who is so good that nothing can come from God to somebody, and it's called a curse. C-U-R-S-E, curse. God is so good that nothing can come from him, and then on someone, and that thing is called curse. God cannot curse. But look at what your Genesis chapter 3 said. You see, but then you have to understand. And in fact, this is the reason Bible has words like, how can the same, let's say the same mouth through which the blessings come, the same tongue that utter words of blessings, how will it be that is that same, from that same organ also curse comes? That curse can also come. Then how does it make sense if if that kind of speech can be made. And then the God who blesses can actually curse. Like they told you that even looking at the woman that God said, that in how do they say that? How do they write that? Like in childbearing. Like in childbearing, I will make it more difficult for you. In what? In what? In childbearing, in pregnancy, during labor. Name it. Some people can explain it in so. I mean that you to make it. I will make it so difficult for you. Imagine that woman that was going through that. Then someone opens the Bible, that very chapter, and show her that this was what God told Eve, her grace. That during childbearing, I will make it difficult. I'm not comfortable. Please I want to just see how it is written. There's a way they wrote that. I want to just read it to you, for you to see it yourself. Genesis chapter 3. I'm reading from verse 15. Okay, verse 16, please. Let me start from verse 16. Unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children. I want you to see why. You can see why I said I want to read the way they wrote it. Look at it. Look at it. Verse 16 of Genesis 3. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. The person that can say this is a devil himself. God never said this. God never. See, oh God of mercy. My dear, the procreation of the mankind race did not take God unawares. It is God's business. That is God's business. The mankind race, the very principal ancestor, like I use this word, the procreator of the mankind race is the very son that God gave birth to. And he was giving birth to spirit being without physical body. You need to understand the detail of this. This is a see, when I talk about global misdeed, like what they can refer to as saying, of global proportion. A misdeed of global proportion. When you say multi-generational misdeed, it is not enough. Things can be weighed in balances. That's what is used for that. Just like the medical experts, they have their gadgets. They have their equipment. That's how there are people that this aspect concerns. Misdeeds can be weighed. That coinage, your kingdom has been weighed in balances and is found wanting. Something like that. It's not just a coinage. It was truly weighed in balances. So that thing called balances is what? Like a scale. Like how something can be weighed and say, oh, this is bad. Or this is terrible. Or this is, So when something, for instance, is called the abomination that causes desolation. It was not just a coinage that just came. That weighing of one thing or the other has already taken place. It has been done. And then that was tagged, first of all, abomination. What is an abomination? An abomination is that thing that is not just a misdeed. It's not just what a people call abominable, based on based on the people's values. The thing has to do with what has to do with cosmic laws. It causes certain things to go anarchical, cataclysmic. It's a desecrator act. It is a do not in a planet. Please, like I was saying, I said that when an angel just lands, following Euphrates, if the angel is a pure hominid, the angel lands on the mountain of Olives. Today's called Mountain of Olives. The very place that is called today, Mountain of Olives. Yes. But it's a supernatural action. Like I said, no hidden camera or CCTV camera can capture that. It cannot be captured by any camera that is terrestrial. If you understand, just like Jesus, when Moses and Elijah, when they rode that and they came, that Jesus was in the meadow, that action took place on the Mountain of Olives, you see. Now, if you understand how that at that time, that thing that they refer to as like what enveloped them, some will use words like the cloud and so on. There is what that is. That the English vocabularies, what we use to explain one thing or another, has not done justice to that thing. That is, it's not been explained like as it should be. But I want you to know that there is what can take place in a place, and if there are passers-by, they won't see it. Because the thing is supernatural. There are supernatural laws. Like there are natural laws. So, many of you that when you hear this kind of thing, will be like, so, okay, if these things actually happen, why has at least, like maybe, like it would have been captured in a camera someday, something like that. You would have also used the camera to capture the Euphrates route. That route is a route. Maybe before they land on the Mountain of Olives, don't forget, before they landing on the Mountain of Olives, is the Mountain of Olives the entrance into the earth? It means it has to enter the earth first before landing on the Mountain of Olives. Don't forget. He would have traced that one first to see the route. So my point is this, that angels that are pure hominids, when they are rendered into this earth, their landing point is the Mountain of Olives. Another word for that Mountain of Olives that reveals this more is the Mountain of Transfiguration. The Mountain of Transfiguration. That's the reason for that word, transfiguration. We transfiguring, we don't have to go to the Mountain of Olives physically so that we transfer, you see. Rather, you would rather use the word crossing Jordan. You see? Crossing Jordan is like crossing into the yonder. Crossing Jordan. Crossing into the yonder. Jordan, yonder. You see? So it's like an interworld. That's the point. It's an interworld kind of crossing. When God was explaining this to Moses, the word was that where Moses wrote what he wrote, the word that was used there is Passover. Passover. It was misinterpreted. Crossover, Passover. As I will pass over you. If I see the blood, I will pass over. Meanwhile, the thing was didn't play that when they had to cross the Red Sea. So that crossing the Red Sea was pointing to the Red Sea of their blood. That in the going out of Egypt, in going out of this planet Earth, that has this kind of life, the bondage of the mortal fetus, the life here. Like when you say the onions of Egypt, you are referring to the entire food in this earth, this planet Earth. I mean the food, whatever you can eat, that is in this kind of a planet. Terrestrial food is onions of Egypt. The same way garment you wear can also be referred as the Egyptian attire, or then your physical body that is mortal can be referred to as the Egyptian attire, for instance. You see? So the reason for that Red Sea stuff and then Jordan crossing, you can see. Also, you have the blood running inside you is red in color. While the water also inside you is water, and the two are not mixing. They have their cascades. If you get a cut and start bleeding, the blood that was coming out was not mixed with water. For water to start coming out, then there must be a bone puncture. The cut past a certain level where the flesh and tissues are, and get to where water is. Jesus was hanging on the cross. They still spoke about how that the water, you see, the blood and the water gushed out from a certain place, you see. Now, before the water also joined, you see that they wrote that a soldier used a particular arrow and pierced the rib bone. You can see. So to show there was a bone puncture, not just flesh cutting, not flesh piercing only. If you receive injection, a needle piercing your skin, and they call muscular injection. That's just what has to do with intramuscular. So just the flesh only. You see that it's blood only that will come out. It is not blood and water. So water has its own cascade. Blood has its own. So when you are being led by everything that has to do with how life is here only, what makes sense to your brain, the brain of your mortal body, becomes, or the brain of your mortal, the height you can think to is limited by the brain of your mortal body. So then you are being led by your body, like you are being led by Moses. Moses means drawn from water. Your body is waterborne. That which fertilized the egg, and all of it is your physical body. All of it, I mean the product of that, all that has to do with your physical body has to do with what came out from your dad that fertilized the egg in your mother's womb. That is not the you. The you is the spirit being you. You were giving birth to spirit being without physical body first in the father's bosom. You have a super bio father. Your spirit being was given birth to by another spirit being. In that particular place, the woman cannot do this. Cannot give birth to anybody in that place. It's completely different from how birth happens here. The man cannot put to bed here. The woman cannot put to bed here without the man, or what comes from the man. You see, this has to do with how life is here. That is what you should understand to be able to understand how God gave birth to a son. That God truly gave birth to a son. That birth did not in any way involve a woman. Has nothing to do with egg laying, has nothing to do with egg fertilization, has nothing to do with anything that's like erection of one body part or the other. It has nothing to do with that. Eros, love that is based on like the kind that man has towards a woman. It has nothing to do with that. These things that I'm touching are things that are very, very vital. They are not just some piece of information. They are very, very vital for you to be able to develop the right mindset. For you to be able to develop what is needed to be able to understand these revelations that I'm bringing out. Gilgal is where the mindset reprogramming happens. There is Gilgal, there's Bethel, there's Jericho, there's Jordan. In the 4 stages of metamorphosis, 4 transcends of metamorphosis, that is like that road, that path that leads to life expressly. It is like, like when you're traveling to a place, you can say, you can talk about the states you meet before you get to your final destination. So the Bible chose, if I put it that way, that these names I called, to help you to understand the 4 stages of metamorphosis. The same way there is the going out from Egypt. That's also how you should understand the falling from glory state. You see, to the very point where the physical body of that person becomes totally 100% mortal body. If you do not understand that, you cannot understand the way back, the return to glory. Please, to cut the long story short, the very angel that just took a trip, for instance, from heaven, that is coming out from the heavens world of angels, then the angel will not just fly and fly and fly and start entering into the earth. The angel will fly and get to the particular place where the air route Euphrates is. Where that's what is called, but let me not use that name now. That is where you get to, and that's where, like where you can like dive in. That's what I mean. Okay? So when you understand that, you will also understand why the Prince of Persia story, that and the Prince of the Kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. Prophet said that Prince of Persia, oh God, it was just a wrong word used there. One, Persia is a place in the earth. Two, prince of. You talk prince. It is better when you are talking about somebody who is a descendant of royalty. The Prince of Persia referred to there is a cherub. That is a hominid. No hominid should be referred to with those kind of words. Just like Lucifer in Ezekiel 28 was referred to as the prince of is it Tyros? Something like that. Or king of Tyros. King of Tyros, I think so. Now the word king and prince, you understand what is called royal, that is royalty. That somebody is a royalty. Lucifer is not a royalty. I don't mean the cherubim are not. Seraphim are, no. Every spirit being that should come from the God is a royalty, Okay? That is of a noble kind of genetics. Okay? But Lucifer's spirit being was shot out from the abyss. And all of them that followed Lucifer, all from A to Z, all of them, they are all hominids. All of them. So they have no kingdom, actually. So like I was saying, I hope you understand this and that they have no kingdom. Lucifer is only aspiring for one, and so on. He is just a copy. He is such a fake. Okay, I don't have to talk about that now. So I'm trying to say here that when an angel turned human, like an angel take a trip into the earth and is then rendered, and the angel lands on the mountain of Olives. That is if he's a pure hominid angel. There is that cloth, cloth, that the angel will be rendered with. The angel will not land not wearing any cloth. If he's an impure hominid angel, that at the last point where the angel will be like that which renders them, we drop them, which is when the landing, like I mean here, commences. That means the angel on his own lands and stands on the ground with two legs of the terrestrial. Now, when it is an impure hominid angel that was coming and gets to that point, once it gets to that point, that the cytologic nature of this sun, terrestrial sun, being that when you talk about that kind of trip, you also understand that that the solar system of that place, the ruler of the day being the sun, and that of the night being the moon. In fact, the main word there is the ruler of the day. The moon is a planet, not a star. The moon is what you can enter inside. You see? Not a burning gas. That's what I mean. Not a burning and shining, okay? So actually, it simply means that the moon actually is not a light giver. It's not a light of its own. But the moon can receive light from that which gives light and allow that light to come out from it. You see? But then can eclipse it to some extent. So that is what also will help you understand why the moon can be in the similitude of the woman. Why the sun, S-U-N, in the similitude of the man. Or the moon in the similitude of a physical body. And the sun in the similitude of the spirit being. That is the powerhouse. You know, the reason it is so. That's why, how you can understand it. Just like when you say the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars. Somebody was talking. That is Joseph. Then the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars. The sun then is in the similitude of who? Jacob. The moon then in the similitude of who? The first wife. Maybe I put it that way. And then the 11 stars in the similitude of who? These children minus one, which was the person talking. That's the Joseph talking. You see? So why these similitudes? That's what I'm explaining here. And as an example. So that the moon is not a star. So, okay, back to what we are talking about, please. I said that when an angel is coming and follows that air route, okay, and reaches here and lands, there is that cloth that angel must be rendered with. That cloth. What is that cloth called? I want to tell you the name. What is that cloth called? The Bible has different words for that. In some places you see words like, just like I think what has to do with the sepulchre, where the physical body of Jesus is promised, where he was laid. And when they wrote, I think among the four synoptic gospel writers, two said that there were two angels that were seen there. I think two said it was one, something like that. You know, there are some things that you still find out that they are not exactly saying the same thing. I mean, the very first synoptic gospel writers, even though they were called synoptic gospel writers, like they share, their testimonies seem to be more aligned than certain ones that they said no to. That's what they were made to. I mean, those that has reasons to call some testaments not spirit inspired, and then some spirit inspired, and called the one that was spirit inspired canonical. And I was wondering what canon was doing there. And then the ones that were not, they called apocryphal. Yet when it comes to people that didn't know this thing, that messed things up, the Bible they can be referred to as apostates. Apostates. Then apo is in apocryphal. Look at that. Apocryphal. Then canonical, that they said it means spirit inspired. There are people that refer to as canons. And I think the likes of Caesar fit into that. Caesar it can be referred to as that kind of a person. In other words, what I mean here is that Rome, at a point, what Rome did is something that a lot of people are actually yet to understand fully, because of how that history is not what a lot of people will be interested in today to look into. You see? So please, my point is this. That particular cloth that when an angel is rendered into this earth, the angel is wearing, like in the Bible, in different places where someone saw an angel, you see was like, and the angel was wearing a white apparel. And he was on a white apparel. Some will say, and he was wearing something shimmery, if I'm correct. And so on. The one word that's supposed to have just done it is what I want to give you today. That which an angel is wearing at the time the angel is rendered, which was not supposed to last. The thing has an expiry date. Like the angel doesn't have to wear it like he has no time. That the angel should make sure the angel has changed it. So it was supposed to be just for some time. And the angel was supposed to, if the angel supposed to like stay in the earth for a long time, what the angel should do is to do what? Is to go and then get himself a 100% terrestrial cloth. That means the normal cloth we find here. Because that one is not. Even though it will look that way. It is not what any fabric maker made. In the earth here. And so on. So what you call that is cosmic attire. That is what we call that. Cosmic attire. What you call that is cosmic attire. C-O-S-M-I-C, cosmic. And then A-T-T-I-R-E, attire. Cosmic attire. If, for instance, an angel meets with me, and I look and saw that that's what the angel is wearing, that thing that the angels, when they just arrived, that's what they're wearing. That's just the way it is. That's what I mean by that explanation that has to do with like the cloth. Some say like and the cloth was like a bit shiny, and the cloth, it has always been like spot, like it is not, it can't be dirty. That's what I mean. It can, I mean, please forgive me. I mean, it cannot be what you look at and is dirty. Like if it is white in color, you won't see any spot on it. You won't see dust. You won't see any stain. That's what I mean. Okay? But then, using those words like shimmery, using words like long gown, using words like, and he was wearing a robe, right through, all of that still did not, is not 100% good explanation to that. What you call that, what that is, in every ramification, is what I told you. That is cosmic attire. The angel is in a cosmic attire. The cosmic attire, that word cosmic is pointing to what put that on the very angel. That took place in that same Euphrates at a time as the angel, because the angels disintegration, the separation of the cell systems of the angel, of every physical body part of the angel, and the assemblage again. And that is to bring it again and begin to fix it, to now look like how man is looking in the fall. So the ending part of that whole work is what puts that cosmic attire on that angel. You see, so to save time, the topic of my message today is the works of the Messiah, the Prince. The works of the Messiah, the Prince. The works of the Messiah, the Prince. Then under it, please, under it, like if you write the works of the Messiah, the Prince in capital letters, then under it you now use normal letter, and then you write that made him be referred to as the Messiah. That made him be referred to as the Messiah. So the topic is the works, W-O-R-K-S, works. The works of the Messiah, the Prince. Then under it, normal letters now, you write that made him be referred to as the Messiah. Now, why did I add that? That made him be referred to as the Messiah? Is because people thought that Jesus Christ's prominence, being seen as the Messiah, was seen as the Messiah because he was crucified. He was killed. His blood was spilled. And that is what made him the Messiah. So he died for you. So if anybody should die for you, that is messianic. You know, things like that. When you say messianic, that's what you mean there. That's what it means. The person saved the situation, a very serious situation. So they thought the situation was created by Lord Adam, or Adam, His Eminence, of Genesis chapters. So that was a situation. They didn't then look at if it was the situation, and that God was so, like angered and was cursing and so on. My goodness. And that lingered until that time. Do you know how many people then that you overlooked, that did not matter, that had come to this earth, go to also where goes go to, before then the very Jesus promise came. Who in that theory, in that narrative, they called a lamb, a sacrificial lamb. Oh. And called the God, his father, the kind of father that is a ritualist. That can give an only begotten son he claimed he loved, or he loved, to have many others. How can he be the most model father? The most caring father? If you're biological father, if you have that kind of a father, okay, look at Abraham. When they wrote that Abraham took Isaac and went to a certain amount for a slaughter. Look at that. The same God said, hey, no. This is what was meant for the slaughter. And then they wrote that that's God. Oh, in blessing I will bless you. Like now I know that you can. God is all knowing. The God that will tell you go and kill your child, and you will go on top of, and when you want to kill that child, then he will now like interrupt and tell you, if you have proven to me that you are this and that. Man, I mean, my dear, that God did not know what will happen before it happens. The God that can see what will happen before it happens would have seen it without telling you to go and kill the child. Secondly, that is an eyesore. That it was not supposed to even be written in the Bible. There is no any child that reads that can feel a certain way. Yes, Abraham got it wrong. God never meant take your child and go and kill. God was telling Abraham, you are an Abraham, right? You are the, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. How can even somebody who gave birth to one child, Isaac, before the Isaac gave birth to Ishmael, then let me cut the long story short. The person gave birth to like every other person here gives birth. How would that person be called father of many? The person is supposed to have been called father of many if the person has like 1,001 or 1,000,001 wives that will give birth to many children. Yes, not somebody who gave birth to one, and then that one later gave birth to another one. I mean, counting from how it was judged. That means Isaac, who later gave birth to the two, then he chose, let's choose now Jacob. Then also Jacob gave birth to 12. Now all of this was the reason that that person was called father of many. Jacob that gave birth to 12 was not called father of many. Jacob that gave birth to 12 was not called father of many. Isaac gave birth to was not called father of many. It was Abraham who gave birth to Isaac that was called father of many. Ishmael was not in the count, according to the Christian Bible. The children of Keturah was not in the count, according to the Christian's Bible, as an example. So is Isaac. Then Isaac gave birth to Esau and Jacob. Then Esau was not in the count. Then it's Jacob. Then Jacob gave birth to 12. Jacob was the one that they said like rested with an angel. And they even wrote that he was changed name from Jacob to Israel. Yet they had written that God would say was like, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yet these people said that Jacob means swindler. Jacob means a thief. So all the while God will say, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God was saying, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and a swindler. Did you see? Prophet said, no, Jacob did not mean 419, swindler, thief. Jacob means supplanter. Even in your dictionary, you might, I think so. You might see that where they like rule out the meanings you can give to that Jacob. But then, how will that people know what it means, the supplanter? Is it not obvious that they don't know what it means, the supplanter? Because you must understand how that the Zoe cells can supplant. The same way there are words like kidney supplant. I mean, please, kidney transplant, if I'm correct. Kidney transplant. Look at the coin, transplant. 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 Then there's saw as in S-U-R, saw plant. The prophet is talking about the very walls of Jericho that fell. That was in the similitude of the building blocks of the mortar body you have, the Sukese system that can be overthrown, that can be supplanted by the Zoesa system. And why that very Jacob, like when you count from that Abraham, Isaac, that's the third. Just like when you talk about the God Almighty, you talk about God the Father, God the Son, that's the third person of the Godhead. Third, three again. And that is in that three that we talk about the God being many. The very one, the mode of operation that defines God's omnipresence. Then also when it comes to the three Elijahs, you talk about the first, you talk about the second, then there's the third. And it was the third Elijah that did a certain thing. And so on. Just like also when we talk about the physical body, counting from the outermost. Then the second, the soul. Then the innermost, the spirit. So that's what is in the spirit being. You know, that is in the spirit that is. So, my point is that this prophet has explained a whole lot in this angle. So, what I'm trying to say is this. That people thought that Jesus Christ's preeminence as the, names like as the Savior, as the Messiah, And that's it. Like, that is just it. Then there's what I want to explain to you before now. I mean, that's what I explained to you, please, before now, to help you in this. I said, look at what Noah did. That Noah saved the situation. That's why when I point to what he did, I use words like messianic, titanic. That this person saved the situation. The very Noah that coupled an ark saved the situation. That is an example of when something is messianic. The human race was like it was facing like it was facing an extinction threat, even though it didn't take God unawares. But if you should understand the details of what actually happened, how that impure hominid angel turned humans under Lucifer's instruction, like it was an organized crime. They planned it to pollute the very DNA/RNA, the genetics that of human beings that are here. Understanding also why looking into their devices, that will be affecting. You see what I mean by abominations. It will be affecting the cosmic laws of this very place. So, in other words, when you hear the Bible say things like that the earth became corrupt, people think it has to do with, some immoralities that happens now, and then that is corrupting one person or the other. They didn't understand that aspect. That if it was that way they thought, then there wouldn't be any reason God wouldn't have done the same thing now in the earth. So that the thing is a bit different. Impure hominid angel turned humans can even get women pregnant. An angel turned human, once he has the body that's the very body that people have here, he can eat the food you eat. And the food will digest. I don't mean like he eats it because he's an angel turned human. So the food will digest. After which he will go and urinate. So he urinates, he passes up feces. Then aside that, all those things that you should observe gradually will be setting in. Like he wouldn't say, well, I'm an angel turned human, and just go and eat what is dirty. He can get sick. Yes, he can get sick. But it didn't mean get sick and sicker, and then that dies. That way, that physical body is here dies. And then the person goes to where goes to no. Why do I say? Because he has a stronger immune system. You see? So his immune, that's what he just is a knowledge that he should just be sure he knows it very well. So there's a way he goes. He might not need to exactly go to or then go for, those things you look for when the bodies get sick. So there are certain things he can do. There are some that he can do when when he just came. When he just came, there's some that he can do. There are some that he can do within, let's say, that's within 365 or 66 days. That means when the sun has not rotated completely around him. I use him here. I said that angels are neither male nor female, but it's better when we use him. So what I'm trying to say is this, that these are things you should understand. These people are in our midst. It is legal. It's not illegal. They come for a reason. Notwithstanding, the impure hominid ones, that is the ones that are rebels, then took advantage of that, that stuff, and do a lot of mayhem. Okay? So I mean that during the time of Noah, that was what they had to do. In fact, it was a blueprint. It was a plan in the blueprints of Lucifer. Blueprint A, blueprint 2, blueprint A, blueprint B, or blueprint 1, blueprint 2, however you put it. So Lucifer is a copycat. That kind of like he tried to emulate what seems to be the best that he cannot beat. So Lord Adam of Genesis chapters taught a lot, explained a whole lot. And when he was here, it is like all eyes on him. Celestial devices can get things that happens here. The windows of heaven being open or closed or shut. I have explained that aspect. Then that windows of heaven being open or shut, it did not even include earth. Earth is not a heaven's world. So but when it comes to earth, the devices of the cherubim, of the seraphim, of the angels there's a way they can get to see things that are happening in the earth, depending on what side of the earth they are looking. But there are things that they can. I mean, it's not veiled from them. That's what I mean. So imagine then, apart from the windows of heaven or different heavens worlds. That's why I told you when that was opened by the very son that God gave birth to, when he was physically manifested. And he knew that it was the right time to go into his home office and open that. And that was when a lot of things started happening. That's when the cherubim and seraphim, that now through their devices, they saw that, there are other heavens worlds. It's just like you are tuning your television. Then, if you remember television of those days, then you now see, like, let's say at a time antenna came, the very antenna of those days. Then you now try to, some will even use, what do you call it? Bamboo. They use bamboo, like to tie it somewhere and put that, so that it goes, because the higher it goes, the better it will perform. So when you finish and then you come and tune your television, then there's this VHF and UHF. So you think ching, ching, if I'm correct. Or maybe you put it in a particular place. When you put it, then you now go to the UHF to begin to tune. It's many years ago. So my point is that you might be in tuning. Then you see, wow, what channel is this? They can tell you, oh, that is so. I mean, what is written will not make you to say, oh, this is the television station of so state of Nigeria, or this is a television station of maybe another country. If you are, let's say, close to the borders of that country, that's the very country in question, sharing borders with your country. You see, so it's just like that. Like as you tune, you're like, which people? Now, imagine this now, that some people who were using their device, like you have your phones. Then at a time, they just just like we have Google Earth here. So in trying to like go in that angle where you are trying to, it has to do with geographical locations. Only for you to now say, this is another, like is a different station, kind of, a different planet. Then you are sighting people of different shape, people of different anatomy. That's what it's like. Then a heaven's world, like a planet, is different. You see houses that are in different shapes. I mean, it is different from the one of the planet that are in the planet that you are. But the people speak the same language that you hear. I mean, when it's heaven's words. That is an example of what I'm saying. While some, the device will also write to the person. You see, now this is one. While another is the very discovery that happened that has to do with air route. That people like what if I follow this place, where will I land? Where will I even go to? What is even this? You see, like when you look at that ocean of water, or river of water, or sea of water, and then the middle of it, let's say, does like that circular motion, that once you see it in any river, you are thinking of what is inside that is causing that, for instance. Now, what happens, for instance, that at the time, the people didn't know exactly what that is. Then, like you have also your device that you can make you, if you hear, let's say, you hear a certain thing mentioned, or let's say an animal, then you are like, okay, let me type it and know what that animal is, or who that, and when you type it, then your device is telling you something, that aspect as well. So, so what the device, what they can read in their device, that's another. So what I'm trying to say is that aspect that has to do with what encouraged research, what encouraged, looking into things, that also happened until it got to the point where the certain number of creatures started traveling, that is following air routes to know where that will land them. On to the point where they discovered that there are heaven's worlds where certain creatures that can be referred to as angels are. And the angels also saw creatures that can be referred to as cherubim and seraphim. Even though it's still the very mankind Adam who brought out these generic names. As they had the names, they will call those creatures according to what they see. Like the angels referred to the cherub, the first set of cherubim that came as the shining ones. The word, the shining one, which was at a time looking like what is one of the name of Lucifer, was not one of the name of Lucifer. Some even try to interpret Lucifer to mean that, the shining one. Meanwhile, the shining ones happen to be in Edenic language, in the language that people that are in heaven's world speak. Happen to be the name that they were using, the word they were using in called in referring to the cherubim, especially the first set of the cherubim or cherubim/seraphim that came into their heavens world. Because of what? Because their Shekinah was brighter. That was their first time to see creatures that are bigger, that's more massive, different in anatomy, and also they have brighter Shekinah. So they, in talking to themselves, they will use that word, the shining ones. That simply means they shine more than the angels. You look at the book of Job, having words like brighter, the brighter. Okay, no, the morning stars, please, the morning stars. Then Jesus promised in Revelation chapters, they wrote that one of the things he said in referring to himself was that he is the brighter. No, they wrote that he called himself the bright and the morning star. The bright and the morning star. Chai. While in the shoes of the Son of God, what he said was the brighter than the morning stars. And prophet said that the morning stars are the cherubim and the seraphim. And also and explain why they were referred to as the morning stars. And so on. I mean, what they can be referred to as the morning stars. So, my point is this. That I want to explain a few things to you today. That I think is supposed to help you to understand why there was a story. There was a written down, revelations concerning somebody that can be referred to as the Messiah, the Prince. And in a discussion, that a very serious discussion between an archangel and somebody referred to as Daniel or called Daniel. At a time, that was such a time in Israel, that the oracle of that country was messed up. They were attacked. They were in disunity. They were in absolute confusion. What can make people ask where is their God is what I'm talking about. They were made to look like they shouldn't claim all those things that they claim. Whatever that is, that they shouldn't claim that is a lie. And so on. So, I will give you the correct rendition of some of the verses in Daniel chapter 9. Like I said, the topic of my message is the works of the Messiah, the Prince. Then under it you write that made him be referred to as the Messiah.